We didn't really know what relocation was about. They just sent you off, put you on a train, and you ended up there. Someone picked you up, dropped you off at a boarding house, and then they tell you, well, we'll pick you up in the morning, and every day you come here, you look for jobs, and we'll find you jobs. When we got married in '58, we went to St. Louis, Missouri, and we lived there. I worked at a hospital there as a nurse at aide, and Chucky did various labor work. It's scary to be in a big city. You have to always try to keep your door locked because you never knew what was going on. I have a car in St. Louis when we first got married, and so we'd go shopping, and we didn't know how to we were going to get our groceries home. So Chuck would go to a car dealer. Wait, hear the story. He said, I'll go to a car dealer, go try out a car, and then I'll run your groceries home. So he'd go try the car out, and then he'd bring me home with my groceries, and then he'd say, no, he didn't want to buy that car. One of our experience too is when we were in California, not California, but St. Louis, we were in one of their second largest tornadoes. It was a jumping tornado, and I knew something was wrong because we stayed up on the third floor. So I told Chucky, I said, Chucky, there's something wrong. There's something happening outside. And shut up and go to sleep, he said. Your boards were hitting the wall and whatnot. I got up and looked, and I could see everything flying by us. And the building was shaking. And I could hear the landlord saying, Chucky, Putch, get downstairs here. They're having a bad tornado. So we went down to the basement there. So that was an experience. Anyway, then we'd go to shop, like to the grocery stores, and then they'd always ask us, well, where do you live? So we'd tell them. We'd disguise name. And they'd all look at us like kind of funny. And they say, you actually live there? I thought, what the hell is the matter here? Every place I go, people ask me that. So finally I went to this one place and to get something. That little store wasn't too far from the house, and I asked him, I said, why do you guys always ask me? And then Lieutenant Strollers was his name. And she says, well, you've never heard about him? And I said, you've never heard about him? And she said, no. She said, you know he was in that Greenleaf robbery, she said. And I said, Greenleaf robbery? Yes, she said, where all these cops went to catch these people that robbed this bank. And when they robbed the bank, there was one bundle missing. And they killed all those guys, plus those cops were killed. He was the only one that was living. And he brought those bags in, but he didn't bring one in. So then they kept asking him, where that was, and he said he didn't know. And he said, well, maybe somebody else got away with it or whatever. But I think, and then when we, so that's how we knew what he was then. And they said that was all over the news a long time ago, that he was involved in that. That's how he lost his job, because he
went to prison.
Yeah, but they never did get the money back. He started telling us about it. Then I said, well, what happened to the money? And he said, they'll never know that. They'll never know where that money's at, he said. And but he was really nice to us, so I thought, well, what the hell. Anyway, we lived there for a few months and just couldn't make ends meet there, so we moved back here. The missile bases were open up in Glasgow, Montana, so we went to Glasgow, Montana, and we lived in Glasgow for, I think, the seasonal for about 3 months. Back to Belcourt, and then I got pregnant. Found out I was pregnant with my oldest daughter in Montana.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I found out. But already must have been about 3 months pregnant already. I didn't even know it. Moved back to Belcourt here, and I got a job in Rolette. working at the hospital. They left to California again. They relocation again. They send us. Here we got off in California. That lady said, "Oh my God, take off those winter coats." It must have been about 70 above up there. Here we had our winter shoes on and our winter coats and scarves and everything. BJ was wrapped up in about 10 blankets. Oh goodness! So that was a funny thing. And we stayed there, and we stayed there for 3.5 years. We liked the place. We enjoyed it. We probably would have lived there, but then Chuck lost his job because they were going from a government to a government facility, and you had to reapply and everything for your job. And it was like he would have to have a 12th grade education, and he didn't. He only had an 8th grade education. We came home here, and we lived in Belcourt. Work here again, and so Chuck went to California, to Hayward, California, and found Butchie and Agnes there. And he found a job in a pop factory. Had Betty Jean, Buster, and Derek very sick when we had only been there a couple of days, and so he had double pneumonia, so we took him to the hospital, and the hospital had to see him because he was near death when we got him there. And so they put him in a room, isolated him and everything, but we didn't have any money. So we didn't know what to do, and the hospital was saying, "You have to have money, otherwise he's going to have to stay here," and like making threats to us to come up with the money, which we didn't have. So I had no alternative, and I called my sister. I called the public health service here in Belcourt, and they said they couldn't help us. So then I called my sister. She worked for the Indian Health Service in Washington, D.C., and when I told her our situation, she said that she would go talk to them, the Indian Health Service, and she would tell them what happened and that we should be covered because we hadn't been off the reservation for 3 months. So she did that, and the Indian Health Service from D.C. called the hospital in California, and they released him and they paid the bill. Life was real scary when you went out like that because you never knew what you were always going into. But you still had children and you had to try to provide for them no matter what. I decided I just didn't want to live there. I just wanted to come home, and I wanted to try to start a different life here.